I'm sure your dad has a big smile right now looking down on you. Our next inductee is Gerry Wixted. I might have been in my role for maybe a week, I'm not sure, when Penner, who we'll hear from later, told me about Gerry. Probably 6 or 7 times in the 2 minutes we were together. The best basketball player that ever played at Dickinson. You know he was player of the year. I must have heard that 15 times in that short period of time. He's the only player of the year for now. Coach Soretti, do you hear me? So we're gonna have another one as well. But I just wish I was here to witness it, because I heard he was a phenomenal athlete. And from what I heard from Coach Soretti and what Penner tells me, he's even a better person.
First and foremost, Gerry was great to have on campus because he belonged to Dickinson. He was a student athlete in the truest sense of the words. Dedicated scholar, a really big history guy, loved it, excelled at it, and then obviously a very serious athlete for all his accomplishments and what he's done here. Also, for as good as he was, a real emotional leader for us. I mean, really bought into his teammates, created great relationships, and cared a great deal for not only what he was accomplishing, but for what everybody was accomplishing on the team. We laugh all the time. Gerry's first basket here was like a 17-foot hook shot in a scrimmage with his left hand, and he was right-handed. And so we knew right off the bat that he was pretty special on the floor, and he was going to be able to do a lot of things. He's our all-time leading scorer, all-time leading rebounder, all-time leader in block shots, free throws. We could go on and on. He was on the most accomplished teams ever here. He and his teammates had a 4-year run and really a 3-year run where we were in the national tournament 3 times, won the league tournament twice, and were the #1 seed the other year, and then in the NCAA tournament made runs to the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16. So all of the individual accolades, but then to help with his teammates kind of propelled the program to kind of its highest heights. I think in his senior year we might have been ranked 4th in the country, which would have been our peak, and a lot of it because of what he was able to accomplish. It seems a world away, but you knew with the things that he was doing and the people he was impacting and the relationships he was creating and the success he was having, you knew this was a possibility. So to see it come full circle for he and his family, for us, it kind of justifies the faith he had in coming to Dickinson, and then obviously all the work that he put in with his teammates to achieve what he did.
My honor to bring up Gerry Wixted, the 2015 National Player of the Year and 2026 inductee into Dixon's Athletics Hall of Fame.
Hello, everybody. Congratulations to the fellow Hall of Fame recipients, and thank you to everyone here for coming to celebrate. I'll see you at the G-Man later tonight. It's great to be back on campus with so many people that played a major part in my experience at Dickinson, both on and off the court. I'd also like to quickly honor Charlie and Penner with a few words. God, it's good to see you guys. It's really, really good to see you guys. My sophomore year, I took a job working for them on a whim. What I didn't know at the time was that Penner and Charlie would be as fine a pair of bosses as I would ever have. The only things that matched their decency was their humor and their wit. They never once shirked a duty nor complained about the burden of their considerable responsibilities. And outside of slipping us an extra second or 2 on the shot clock, their integrity was on sale. So congratulations on your awards tonight, guys. You deserve it. Upon receiving notice I was to be inducted in the Hall of Fame and that I would be asked to deliver a speech, I realized I had not sat down and seriously thought about and reflected on my journey as a basketball player in a really, really long time. Just how exactly did that foundational journey shape the man that I am today? In retrospect, when I was set to depart Dickinson in 2015, I must have looked like I was desperate to shift my identity away from a basketball player to something else entirely. I decided before my senior basketball season had even begun that the coming hoop season would be my last, no matter the outcome. Sure enough, the day after we lost in the NCAA tournament, I left the world of basketball behind to accept a position in the history department at the Woodbury Forest School. After the guys at D3Hoops.com named me the National Player of the Year, they were visibly flabbergasted when I told them I had no intention of playing overseas. To be honest, if they had known I had already moved on from the game, I'm not sure I would have received that honor. No matter, I had the clean break that I wanted, and I got to keep the award. For the last decade, I've been living in the distinct high-pressure world of a boarding school for boys. I've been a history teacher, a coach, a dorm parent, perhaps most importantly, a mentor, which is really just a fancy way of saying I've spent 10 years in a constant state of motion. Life at Woodbury Forest is measured by Saturday morning classes, high-stakes assessments, seated meals, long-distance travel, late-night check-ins, and the surprisingly clever, often sharp-witted humor of boys who are trying very hard to grow up. I've served in loco parentis for these guys in just about every setting imaginable. I've led my students to the ruins of Rome and taught them in Oxford, but I've also led them through the much humbler, more frequent challenges of a difficult history lesson or a physically demanding basketball practice. After a decade of living in the middle of that journey with them, I've come to the belief that what every boy yearns for beneath their polished exterior and academic ambition is to be deemed worthy. Boys want to be worthy of the expectations placed upon them. They want to be worthy of the sacrifices made to get them there, and worthy of the tradition they've inherited, and ultimately worthy of the respect of the men that they seek to become. Looking back, I realized I wasn't any different when I arrived in Carlisle as a freshman. I carried with me that same quiet hunger. Luckily, I happened to land at a place where I was surrounded by people of such high character that the only way to be worthy of them was to grow up. There are too many people to pay homage to in just 2 minutes, and Lord knows I've got the best teammates here tonight, and I'll give you some shout out and some love at the G-Man later, but I'm just gonna stick to the absolute essentials in the interest of time. First, there's Coach Soretti. A lot of what Coach used to say has stuck with me, but one moment in particular from my senior year stands out. At the conclusion of our final grueling 6 a.m. preseason workout series my senior season, a few of our guys began to celebrate that it was over, only for Coach to call the seniors over to let us know that we weren't done and that the entire team would have to complete another brutal circuit. When Chris and I immediately objected, Coach patiently listened, let us finish, then looked us in the eye and said, quote, "If you're not getting better, then you're getting worse," end quote, before sending us back out there to work. Chris left while I continued to try and lawyer up. At the time, I'm not sure I understood him because I spent most of my career as an unhinged maniac on the court. My teammates could probably give you a more accurate assessment, but to be honest with you, I was a punk. My opponents thought I was an entitled flopper that whined too much. My teammates loved me until I stopped pickup or practice to fight with pickup. I worked to be the best player I could be so I could be worthy of Coach's trust, but that often meant he had to deal with my stubborn resistance to every schematic change that he made and meltdowns after bad losses. Coach handled all of me with a combination of authority, patience, and a stoicism that I now realize was his way of showing me what a man looks like. He brought out the best in me by refusing to lower the bar. He was a man I wanted to be worthy of then, and he's a man that I still seek to be worthy of today. So thank you for that, Coach. Next, there are my teammates. I could say something about every single one of them, but I'll stick to highlighting the guys in my class. Put simply, all of them had it way, 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 way harder than I did. My version of adversity was a total luxury compared to theirs. From the moment I stepped foot on campus as a freshman, I got to play big minutes. I started and finished games on the floor all 4 years. I was always the focal point within our offensive and maybe our defensive scheme. But don't mistake my playing time for a lack of talent within the rest of my class. These guys could play, but they faced the kind of obstacles that would have broken a lot of other athletes, myself included. Chris, who can't be here tonight, he was a starter his sophomore year on a team that went to the NCAA tournament, only to get relegated to the bench as he lost at least 2/3 of his playing time his junior year. But he never publicly complained or held the team back as we enjoyed unprecedented national success. Chris's resolve was rewarded when he won back his starting spot the following season, and our ranking surged to a school record at 4th in the nation. At 6'9", Big Steve broke his size 12 foot before our sophomore season. He missed our fall workouts in half of our games as he quietly went about his recovery process without an ounce of complaint or quit. There was just hard work and grind to put himself back in a position to seamlessly fit within the team dynamic upon his return, so he could give the team the best chance of reaching its true potential. And in winning the league and reaching the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1997, we did. And finally, there was my best friend on the team, who's here tonight. Pete, where are you, man? Pete was a local legend at his high school, where he averaged over 20 a game his senior year and took his town further than they ever had gone in the PA state tournament, only to turn around and he barely touched the floor his first 3 years in college. He had every reason to quit at numerous points on his journey, but he didn't. His decision to stick it out through all the commitments that are required of a college athlete playing under Coach Soretti was never lost on me. At the time, I remember feeling like Pete's commitment to the team was really ultimately a commitment to our friendship, and it was. I want to take this opportunity to honor these guys in front of the audience, in front of this audience, and tell you that you're my brothers. I knew then, just as I know now, that you guys faced way more adversity than I ever did when I was in college. People ask me about my favorite games or best performances, but the most meaningful win I ever was a part of wasn't about a stat line. It was the conference title game against Johns Hopkins our senior year. And the most important game of our lives, every single one of us made huge plays to win. Avenging the loss in the title game from the prior season and leaving no doubt that ours was the best class in school history didn't require a Herculean stat line from me. What it took was contributions from all the guys in the senior class, and all of us delivered that together. Teams like that are what make Hall of Fame nights like this. Sharing that victory with Chris, Steve, and Pete is the highlight of the entirety of my basketball career. Not because of the trophy, but because it ensured I'd earned the right to stand next to men of their quality. Thank you for facing down your struggles with the strength and resolve I could only ever strive to emulate. I can't imagine sharing those moments, or the entire journey really, with a better, more worthy group of men, because there are none. Finally, there is my family, and perhaps most importantly, my parents. I'm one of 5 kids, I'm the only boy, and I'm the only D3 athlete in the whole lot. My sisters love reminding me that in our house, D3 makes me the runt of the litter. Needless to say, it was an incredibly competitive household. Much like the boys I work with at Woodbury today, I showed up to Dickinson as a young man driven by a singular, quiet goal I felt but didn't quite grasp all of the way. I wanted to be worthy of my mom and dad and the sacrifices that they made for me. My basketball journey began in earnest in the 4th grade, and it quickly became the foundation of my relationship with my parents. It was built on 1,000+ long car rides and hours spent in gyms, both empty and full. You paid for the teams, the trainers, the tuition. You shared in the highs and lows of every single victory and defeat, every single one. You managed all of that for me while simultaneously balancing the hopes and dreams of 5 children so perfectly that each of us felt known, seen, and above all loved, all while you held down demanding careers. There's a debt there that I'm not sure I'll ever be able to repay. You, more than anyone else, is who I strive to be worthy of. Basketball simply provided a theater where I could try to prove I was worth the investment that you made in me. But now when I look back, the love that you gave me then, the support I feel for me right now, and I know that the love that I know will be there forever. That's the only validation I ever needed. So I'll leave you with this. I spent 4 years on this campus trying to be the best player on the floor so I could prove I was worthy of the people that invested in me. I was stubborn, I was difficult, and at times I was impossible to deal with. But looking back, the points and the wins aren't what I carry with me. What I carry with me is the example that Coach Soretti set, the resilience of my brothers in the class of 2015, and the unconditional love of my parents and my family. My life today as a teacher is simply an attempt to pay those lessons forward to every single boy that I teach and every single boy that I coach. This award is an incredible honor, but the real prize, as Coach Nichter would say, was the journey I got to share with everyone here tonight to celebrate. So thank you to the selection committee, thank you to everybody involved that got me into the Hall of Fame, and thank you to Dickinson, and most of all, thank you to my family. So go Red Devils, and I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
I think those young boys are